Okay, we are back, episode 13 of the Sports Lessons podcast. I am Auweezy, I am your host, and today we have somebody special. Now, Ills is out of town, he's out of the country, he's off this planet. I know you guys don't care about that. You're just wondering who's the guest for today. It is her first podcast episode appearance ever, not just for this one, but ever. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name's Katie. I am Oasis' friend. I'm
Friend.
his girlfriend.
What?
And
Okay,
actually, you didn't know, but I have a world-renowned podcast I've just been keeping from you with
right, yeah.
thousands of episodes. So this
That
is not
makes
my first rodeo.
that makes a lot of sense. 2 years, but okay. Um, Obviously, this is a sports podcast. I'm sure you know a lot about sports. Is that right, Katie?
Sports, sport, goals, touchdowns, all of that. Yep, very well
Perfect. All
versed.
right. I think this will be a little bit of foreshadowing for what this whole episode is going to be, but we are happy to have you. So why don't we just get right down to brass tacks? We are starting off our story today about the NHL. This would be our first story about the NHL in terms of our new format. We've done the NFL, we've done the Olympics, we've done the NFL twice. Now we're doing the NHL. The NHL season is going to start in about a month's time. And I thought we would do a little bit of a cool story back in 1974. Do you remember 1974, Katie?
Oh, the olden days. Oh, no.
All right, cool. So let's go back to 1974. There was the NHL draft. Do you know what the NFL draft is?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I watched hockey a lot growing up. So I remember my dad screaming at the top of his lungs at the TV, especially it was often during a family like get together,
right.
and he was had to watch the draft.
Okay, so how many rounds are there in the draft?
More than one.
Cool. Less than
15.
nailed it. That's actually seven, so it's kind of right in the middle. All right, so there is 7 rounds in the NHL draft. They're usually public, they're televised, they're live. There's always a host city. They've done it in Ottawa a few years ago. And they're gonna do the next one at the Sphere in Las Vegas. So
Cool.
they're just throwing everything in there, trying to do everything in there. But
Can
if we
I
go,
ask some questions?
yeah,
Just a
yes,
quick
you're allowed to.
question.
Yeah, go ahead. It's like a classroom.
So why would they not televise around?
Well, actually, if you let me finish my lesson, I will. I was gonna bring this. So this is a whole new dynamic, right? This is um. Anyway, actually, so back in the 70s and for a while after that and before that as well, there was another league. There was another hockey league. It's called the WHA. Actually, I believe Wayne Gretzky played for that league in the beginning, and the Edmonton Oilers also played for it. Oh, you know who Wayne Gretzky is?
Yeah, I love to tell everybody that my dad once used to play road hockey with the Gretzky boys, the younger ones. And one time Wayne showed up and was there for like 2 seconds and played for like 2 minutes with them. So I basically know someone famous.
Yeah, that's how it works. Um, but I bet he was like lights out. Especially since he was playing with kids. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there was a rival league. So the NHL didn't want to lose any new players to the WHA, so they had like a private draft. That's what they had back in 1974. They did it privately, where no one from the public saw it.
Hmm.
So instead of going to a new arena or a new city, making a whole spectacle out of it, they just did it in their league offices in Montreal. And the commissioner would be on video call, or sorry, video call back in 1974.
It's like a holographic, like, oh my gosh, that'd be so
Yeah.
funny.
He'd be on conference call and he would just call every single general manager and be like, who's your pick? And he would go through every guy who got picked beforehand.
Wait,
There were
would they even have conference call back then? Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked.
this new the new podcast is
Was
about
it like it wasn't like
data
Morse code
technology.
or something?
Morse
I'm
code in
just
the
kidding.
1970s. Your parents were alive during that time. You know that, right?
Yeah, they were like 4 and 6. So
So, so they would do it privately over a conference call, and the commissioner would call the general manager of the next team and be like, all right, it's your turn to pick. Here are the guys who got picked. And he would go through every single person that got picked. And he would do it for every single time. There was 25 rounds back then. 25 rounds. This took 3 days to do. The draft is 2 days, right? They do the first couple rounds, and then I think they do the second day, or they just do one day. Like it's not that long. It's just a few hours.
you're talking about like the draft nowadays is
The
only two
draft now,
days?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
25 seems like a
25 rounds.
lot.
Oh well, yeah, that was the point. So number 183 comes up. All right, number 183. This is round 11 in 1974. The Buffalo Sabres are up. Now, have you ever been to Buffalo?
Uh, no, I've been like through it to get to the US, but never like stayed.
You don't go through Buffalo to get the US. You're already in the US when you go through Buffalo.
Well, I meant to get to another part of the US
Okay. It's really important for this podcast that you're
that I know my geography,
you need to know your geography. All right.
especially my American geography.
What's the capital of Quit?
A city.
It's Quit City. You got it wrong.
Oh,
Okay.
I was close
It's
though.
not close. You just said a city. Any city is a city. All right. Getting sidetracked here. Again, this would never happen.
Yeah, oh yeah, because you and Ilias are so professional.
Yeah.
No, it's just because he actually knows sports, so I feel like there's more of a focus. Whereas in real life, when you talk to me about sports, I do love to hear you talk about sports and you're very knowledgeable.
But
However, I get easily sidetracked and I pick one like little minuscule thing you tell me about it, and
all
that's
right,
what I decide our conversation is.
that's how we get
So,
to Quit.
and that's
Anyway,
how, our relationship works. I
yeah.
listen and it evolves.
All right. So going back, in round 11, number 183 to the Buffalo Sabres, a player called Taro Tsujimoto gets picked. He is from Japan. He plays for the Tokyo Kanadas. Sorry,
Ah,
Tokyo Katanas.
oh,
That would be leaving that one in there. In the Japanese ice hockey league called the Japan Ice Hockey League, right?
okay.
Now, there's one issue with this pick. Can you hazard a guess? Can you take a stab at it?
Did people not like that
What?
it
Don't
was someone from another country?
no. What?
Oh,
What are you trying to say here?
no. I mean, I wasn't alive in 74. I don't know. No, I have no idea. Sorry.
Taro Tsujimoto is not a real person.
What? How
So
does that work then?
the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres hated how long this would take, the whole draft. He hated how unnecessary it was and how long it took. So what he did was he selected a player called Taro Tsujimoto. Okay.
Okay.
He the way they figured it out is he knew some grocer near the Buffalo area. His name was James Tsujimoto. And with his permission was like, hey, can we use your last name? They didn't even tell him why. They're just like, can we use your last name for something? He's like, sure. Then they asked him, okay, what's a popular Japanese name? And he's like, Taro. It's like, okay, perfect. So they made up this whole story. Taro Tsujimoto plays for the Tokyo Katanas and the Japan Ice Hockey League. The Japan Ice Hockey League is a real league, right?
Yeah.
It's a real league. The Tokyo Katanas is not a real team.
Oh,
And they said that Taro scored 10 goals, 25 points. He plays really well. But he's not real. It's not a real person. They just drafted just a fake person. Now in drafts, especially like in the MLB, they go round after round. They start selecting like NFL players. Tom Brady got selected by the Montreal Expos. Very famously, Kyler Murray, the quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, got selected by the Oakland Athletics, and he almost chose baseball. But this would be the first time that a fake player got chosen. Yes, do you have a question?
yeah. Wouldn't the commissioner like have a list of players that were being like considered? Like, I'm confused.
This is
And I mean, that's a
1974.
whole, I was gonna say that's a whole other topic about why other like why Tom Brady was considered for the MLB. Like that's just wild to me. But you can explain that later. However, I just don't understand why there wasn't more like I'm sure you're gonna tell me the whole story.
Yeah, well,
Anyways,
I can explain the
go
Tom
ahead.
Brady thing. There's so many picks, they might as well just throw it at somebody and hopefully he
They
plays
just shoot
baseball
their
then.
shot.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Wait, was
Or
he already in the NFL
I'm
when they
sure he
picked
had
him?
some sort of baseball um expertise. I mean, Kyler Murray was good in baseball, so he had a chance of making the MLB. But going back to Taro Tsujimoto, so what happens is this is 1974, right? No one really knows what's going on, so they're like, all right, fine, just toss him in. So the commissioner calls Campbell. His name is Campbell. Calls. They're like, all right, we select Taro Tsujimoto. He's like, cool. I'm putting it down. We're moving on. And the Buffalo GM was like, all right, you know what? Like, let's just keep this up and see how long it goes. So there's a bit of intrigue. They're like, oh my God, this is the first Japanese player ever in the NHL. This is amazing. This is awesome. Who is this guy? Right? But
The
no one knows
lure.
him because there's no scouts in the Asian like market. There's no scouts that go there. This is 1974. No, like the NHL isn't even that big compared to all the different leagues. So no one knows who this guy is. So they're like, all right, fine. We'll wait until he shows up for practice or for tryouts. So they give him a number. They choose number 13. They give him a locker room space. They put everything out there. And then the general manager, he's still keeping it up. He goes, yeah, I mean, like there's some restraints with him coming over to the US. So I don't think he'll be here in time for the 1974-75 season. But yeah. Did you have a question, Miss Chaley?
Well, no, I'm just curious, like if they get drafted, they have to still try out,
Yeah, they
or
gotta
don't they?
come. They gotta come to practice. So sometimes when you get drafted, you might not be guaranteed a contract. So you get drafted and your rights
Oh,
are with that team, but then you gotta try out for minimal spots.
I feel like yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
I do want to
Now that I
reiterate,
can play.
Katie, that he's not gonna lose a spot or gain a spot. This is a fake player.
Well, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Like, my ideal situation that the story ends is they had that grocer fill in.
No, that's not how it works.
But yeah, I'm assuming that's not. Anyway,
Uh, anyway,
continue.
eventually he's like, all right, I can't keep this up. He reveals it. He's like, haha, I made a joke. The commissioner was not happy because he got made to look like a fool, right?
Yeah.
Not happy. Everybody started accusing him of, oh my God, you just wasted the pick. Because there were guys later on in that draft that got selected after 183 that actually played in the NHL and did well. They were basically like, all right, it's round 11. Let's just throw a pick. But they actually drafted really well that time. And there were other teams that gave up their picks anyway. So instead of choosing a fake player, other teams were just like, all right, we're not selecting in this round. So if you actually go into Wikipedia and you look at like, there's a sizable amount of teams in round one, round two. You get to round 25, there's like one team picking. They
Interesting.
just like gave up. So
We're gonna have
there's
to watch the draft this year together so you can kind of like walk me through it.
I'm not watching the whole thing. So I don't watch the whole thing.
You are now.
I watch 10 picks and I'm out. This is anyway. Just so Taro Sugimoto was not a real player, but the Buffalo Sabres wanted to have fun with it. So now Taro Sugimoto is an inside joke with the Buffalo Sabres fans. In 2011, a company made a hockey card of just a random player, and they're like, "This is Taro." And then New Era, New Era, like I wear hats, New Era. They actually made a hat of the Tokyo Katanas. They just came up with a logo for like a Buffalo Sabres hat, but they're like Tokyo Katana. So he's like ingrained in NHL and Buffalo Sabres history. And
Huh.
in case you were wondering, the first ever Japanese player, Japanese player like from Japan, is called Yutaka Fukufuji. He was a goaltender. But there
For
have
what
been
team?
I don't remember what team. He did not play long. He did not play long at all. But
He
there
couldn't
have
live
been
up to it, he couldn't live up to the standards.
what standards? There was no player.
But the lure.
Uh, but there have been players of Japanese descent. So Paul Kariya, Nick Suzuki, Yamamoto for the Edmonton Oilers. So there are Asian players in terms of Asian Canadians and Asian Americans and the NHL. But Taro Tsujimoto is not a real player. So that was
Oh,
the story for today. A little bit smaller than usual, but I thought, to change it up from all the NFL stories that we've been doing, thought we would include one of a piece of lore of the NHL history. But yeah, did you have any questions, any follow-up questions? That's how I do all my classes. I'm like, all right, does anyone have any questions? What's going on?
no, I mean, I would love to see the like I think that's funny that they like kept the idea of him going. I appreciate that and like an inside joke. Um, yeah, no really questions. I just want to say go Leafs.
You're not invited
Ois
back.
is Ois is
You're not
is
invited
the
back.
Sens
I'm dead
fan, so I just
serious.
had to plug myself.
Don't say that on my podcast that I work hard to do and make.
And
Don't
you
say
do a
that.
great job.
I know
Okay.
because I'm not a
Anyway,
Leafs fan.
then
What, you want to
uh
leave? Like that's quickly
no,
like
no,
I
I wanted
make
to say
the endings for this podcast.
that I'm just like 2 seconds, just gonna be like super like I'm really proud of you for this podcast and you do a great job and you're a great host and the way you like go through your podcast, it's really entertaining to listen to you. And I mean, obviously I'm biased because I like to listen to you anyway. Um, so yeah, I'm just really proud of you. And
I,
I would be down if you have me again sometime to, talk the NFL. I'm super into it now. Um, Travis Kelsey.
he's not been playing well.
I could like name, you could like count how many players I could name. I could probably name over 10. Maybe
Wow.
not, maybe not all active players, like current players, but definitely like former and current.
Cool.
I know. I'm pretty invested.
You are pretty. I do want to say that there's only been one listener on our last episode, and that was you. And I know that
Oh,
because you said you watched it. Where's all of my other viewers? So this goes out to all the people who are liking the posts on Instagram. Where are you guys? Where are you?
you're missing
I,
out, okay?
I
You get to
also
listen to me.
I want to give a shout out. I promised uh Josh on the Don't Stop Believing team that I would mention him in every single episode going forward. Um, this one's to Josh. I love you, man.
Do I know Josh?
You have met Josh, and now this is on the recording, so now you look kind of not cool. But
Oh,
that's on you.
sorry.
That's on you, because like I said,
Well, we have another Josh friend, so I
I
wasn't sure
don't,
which Josh
I
you were
don't,
referring to.
I don't edit the audio. So whatever we
Okay.
say goes. Now, I'm going to end it before you reveal yourself to be somebody who doesn't know any of my other friends. Anyway, this has been a weird ride of an episode. I really showed my colors here. But I would like to thank Katie Timothy Chaley for being on the show, for being a great guest, for asking the right questions, and for letting me talk for what seems to be 20, 25 minutes. I really hope so. If it's not 20 to 25 minutes, I've severely not correctly guessed the time.
Well, you've capped yourself out for the week, so the rest of the time we spend together this week. I get to talk.
Okay, well,
Taylor Swift
we're
and
watching a movie tomorrow, so you better not talk. And then anyway, this has been Auweezy.
anyway,
That has been
this has
Katie.
been Katie.
My bad. We didn't communicate who's going to say what. Let's try that again. I'm Katie,
I'm a Wheezy
and thank you for watching and listening to Sports
to
Lessons.
sports lessons.
Nailed it.